You just talk about their offense and how explosive they are. I mean, they're known for throwing the ball all over the place.
You know, last year, I know our defense was ranked in the top 10 in the country, and they rushed for 266 yards against us, threw for 335. They ended up with 601 yards, and we finished in the top 10 in the country in defense. This is last year. And from the 11 defensive starters that started last year, we've got 4 guys back from that defense that'll be playing in the game. Their offense is exceptional. The head football coach has been around great offenses before, and anytime you give him a big-time tailback, you know, like he has right now, and how he had at Oklahoma with Adrian Peterson, he's always done great things. And Tevin Coleman is, I mean, he's an NFL guy. He's one of those guys that's going to have an opportunity to play in the league. So they have an exceptional offense. Their quarterback is obviously somebody that's thrown the ball and electrified the Big Ten, and we have a huge task in front of us.
Coach, did you watch the video of the game between BG and Indiana last year?
You know, I did, but I didn't watch it for schematics, just to look at the personnel a little bit. But yeah, I didn't break it down like a normal game, but I just kind of looked at the personnel.
From what you saw, what was your reaction to it?
You have to be a little bit more specific.
The way it seemed to snowball on BG in that game. I mean, they actually had a lead at one point and had, I want to say, 35 unanswered, scored on them.
Well, there you go. So I didn't even look at the score. I was just watching the game, and what I saw was just you know, tailbacks making plays. I saw a quarterback on fire. You know, it just seemed like he couldn't miss, and you know, an excellent scheme versus an excellent defense, and really just kind of had their way with it.
How do you kind of, I don't know if I want to say game plan, but, you know, prepare for a team that kind of touch on it, can run the ball as well as they do, but pass the ball as well as they do too?
You know, you've got to pick something. I mean, you've got to try to take something away and try to make them one-handed instead of them having a way of having the option of doing both, and it's very difficult to do. But I mean, I think that's the way you go about it in trying to win the football game, because when you're balanced and you can do both, what you do is you end up in the top, when the season's over, number 1, number 2, number 3 in the country. And I think that's where they're rushing offense. I believe they're number 1 in the country right now in running the football in the entire nation. So they're very good on offense, and it's going to be a difficult task.
You guys' run defense has been pretty solid this year. We'll just talk about that task to be able to slow them down on that front.
Well, you're talking about our rush defense being very, very good? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
When you go against an NFL tailback, you'll find out how good your rushing defense is. And this guy is something. I mean, I'm watching him on tape, and I'm like, that guy's pretty. He's a big-time tailback. He's really, really good.
Go ahead.
Now, your defense is prepared against the up-tempo offense all spring, all summer. How much do you feel like that prepares you guys for this game, even if Indiana's a little bit more of an explosive, really explosive offense?
I think our defense will be okay with the tempo part of it. It's just that it's the athletes that they have and the space that they create with their offense, I think, is going to be the most difficult thing. I don't think we're going to have an issue with getting lined up and with the tempo, but with their football players and with their quarterbacks and their receivers, and along with that tailback, I think there's going to be some issues. The other thing we got to remember is that they have all 5 offensive linemen coming back. All 5. And I couldn't even add up how many starts they've had in a row, and that's big. I mean, that's a really big deal for an offense. So not only are they going to be able to, not only do they have a veteran offensive line with an NFL tailback, but they've got a quarterback that doesn't get hit much, and he can throw the football. So they're very, very complete on offense. And that's based off of their numbers from last year and what they did in the opening game versus Indiana State.
Could talk about James and how he's progressed, what you've seen of him since his first start and now.
Well, we just had one practice really since that last time. We have another practice this afternoon, but James is doing well, and I think he's coming along. We've got to try to develop him for the entire season, and he's getting a crash course because you can't train 2 quarterbacks now. You can train 1 quarterback, and when the starter goes down, you give those reps to another guy. So James has been getting those reps, and he's on a crash course, and we're trying to bring him along for our entire season. I'm not sure we can do everything we need to do to get him ready for a defense like Indiana, but we're going to try to give him some things that may be able to help him and continue that development as we move into the MAC conference.
Do you feel fortunate that you have a really a good solid running game which helps him? I mean, if you had no running game and he had to be perfect as a quarterback and a thrower, do you have the right mix, you think, to blend a guy like that into an offense who's inexperienced?
We'd like to think that our running game can take a little bit of heat off of him, but once again, I mean, there's a reason why they call it the Big Ten, and it's not because they have 10 teams anymore. I get it. I mean, these guys are different, and we'll know what kind of running game we have after this football game.
Have you heard any kids talking about the fact, maybe they didn't get recruited by a Big Ten team or Indiana in particular, any sort of motivation there?
Well, I don't know about that. I did see Coach Wilson's press conference, and he said that he tried to recruit Box, and Fred didn't go there. He went here. But I do know that he recruited 2 coaches off of my staff, and both of them went there. So I think they've got something going for them that that people want to go there. And we just hope that our guys and the guys that are playing with us and the coaches that are here are committed to trying to give the best effort that we can give in trying to win a football game, because it's going to take an entire village and an entire family to win a game like this.
Who are the 2 guys that went over there from your staff?
Mike Paycheck and Larry McDaniel.
Coach, will you just talk a little bit about the value to your program of having a Big Ten team playing here in BG?
What a blessing. It really is something special to have a Big Ten team coming in here to the Doyt, and whoever got that done from the administration standpoint a long time ago, it's a really nice deal. It'll be outstanding for the community. It'll be great for the players to have an opportunity to play a team like that, in front of their family on their home court, so to speak. And from that aspect of it, it's really cool. It's probably exciting for you guys too, J-Dub. Now for the coaches and me and all those guys that got to go coach against this game, it's not so exciting. But we'll see what we can do. I mean, we know they're a good football team. We're going to give them our best shot.
Coach, advantage-wise, do you feel like Indiana benefits from having that week 2 bye week, or do you feel like you guys benefit more from having 2 games back-to-back and gaining that extra
Well,
experience?
I think the bye week and being healthy is big. I mean, you guys have seen what's been happening to us with injuries and stuff like that. I think 2 weeks of a bye week and then having all the extra information of knowing every player. I mean, I'm sure he's gotten detailed breakdowns on every single football player that we have from the coaches that left us and went there. So it's almost like having a double knot in your camp, so to speak. So they're getting very valuable intel on us, and we just got to make sure that maybe those players that in spring are a lot better than what they were, and that maybe maybe we can have a chance against these cats.
Follow up on that, Coach. You mentioned the fact we've got 4 defensive starters back from last year's team. Can you give us a personnel update? Or do you know who's going to be able to go this next weekend, who's not?
There's a bunch of guys that I really don't know yet. We're still waiting on. I mean, you can ask me names that I can say, yeah, I know on him, or no, I don't. But really, most of them we haven't got any medical information back on.
No word on DJ or that.
I can tell you DJ's limping around. I mean, DJ's not going to play. He's not going to play. I can't talk about it, but he's not, he won't be in the game.
Zach.
I'm not allowed to say anything about that one.
Just as a follow-up, the defense had some success last week, albeit against maybe a little bit lesser opponent after they struggled in the first week. Are you concerned from a psychological perspective, just kind of get inside your head, if Indiana say they score a couple touchdowns early, are you concerned at all about the psyche of the defense, that they don't fall back into that here we go again thing?
Defense psyche, my psyche. If anybody scores a couple of touchdowns on us early, my psyche's messed up. I think it's just part of the game. I think that the one thing that was really cool about the first game is that even though we went down by 3 touchdowns, twice we brought that back to 2 touchdowns in separate situations. So I don't think that the team gave up. And I think anytime somebody gets away from you early, you would hope that your team would have enough to reel it back in and make a game of it. So I'm going to operate on faith that we've got enough character on this football team that if that happens, that we'll come back and we'll still play.
Coach, going off of last game, you said you had a group of guys defensively that were injured, but it were different people on the football field that stepped up. for you guys. Can you talk about how much their confidence can boost from that game going into Indiana?
Yeah, I think that a lot of guys stepped up. We watched a video about next man up, that Friday night before we went to the hotel. And football's like that. There's going to be times where a guy is out for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and the opponent you're playing doesn't, they don't have that same hurt about those guys not playing. And what you need is a team of guys where somebody else is going to step up and make up for the points or the tackles that somebody would lose on defense because an outstanding player is not playing. And I really feel like we've got a team. I really believe we've got a family. And I really believe that if one guy can't play, the next guy will step up. And the other guys around that player that's stepping up has to elevate their game so that we can have the same type of consistent performance from an offense, defense, or special team point. Up to you. Thank you.
Can you talk a little bit about the play of the special teams early, and especially your punt return unit between getting a block last week? You had a touchdown return last week, should have had one the week before. Just that unit in particular, but your special teams in general.
I really think that the punt return team, there's 13 individuals that really operate on that team, and they take a lot of pride. And Coach Kaufman does a nice job with our special teams. And those guys they're out to make a name for themselves. It's not that they're trying to stand out as individuals. They're going to stand out as part of the family, but they want that unit to be special, and they take a lot of pride on whether they're blocking for the punt returner or whether they're going for blocks. And I'm excited for them because they're excited for each other. The coolest thing was when Hervé blocked the punt returner. Burbs was one of the first guys down in the end zone to celebrate. And that was a blocked punt. Burbs is 40 yards away from him, but you look on the clip on the end zone, he's one of the first guys to celebrate. And then you turn around and when Burbs ran the punt return in, you can see all those guys that were making blocks. They're all in the end zone celebrating. So they have a lot of fun together. They're a close family within a family, and it's exciting to watch those guys go out. You never know what's going to happen when the other team punts, when our punt return team's out there, and that's kind of cool.
Also, will you talk a little bit about the switch that got announced Sunday to Nike? Is that do you expect to see? What do you expect to see from that move?
I don't know all the numbers behind it and all that kind of stuff. That's what the administration does. But I know that our players were excited. For me, whether it's one shoe or one uniform or what logo you're wearing, I know that the players were extremely excited. And it seemed like the recruits that we were talking to that week was really excited. So if players are excited and the recruits are excited, then I'm excited. So we're really excited about the change, and we expect to hopefully not only do good things with the logo on our chest, but hopefully do good things for BGSU and the orange and brown.
Over your career, how much does that come up in recruiting kids, and how much the apparel manufacturer actually matters?
It matters. It matters. I'm not going to say one way or another, or what apparel, another apparel. But certain kids like certain things, and they really get used to it. So apparel matters.
Anything else for Coach Babers? Okay, thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.